It didn't snow a lot, but there is a dusting. And even though there's not a lot of snow, it is cold. It's bitter cold. It's about 17 degrees Fahrenheit right now. And today I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to head down to Chicago, Illinois. And we have something kind of fun in store for you. We are going to visit the boyhood home of Walter Elias Disney. I think we're about ready. Let's hit the road. The Walt Disney Company is an international conglomerate that's involved with film, television, radio, theme parks. And Walt Disney used to be pretty proud to say that we should remember it all started with a mouse. But the truth is, it all started in this house behind me with a little baby boy. As you can see, I missed the birthday celebration by just a few days, but this is undeniably recognized as the birthplace and childhood home of Walt Disney. Walt's father, Elias Disney, moved to Chicago in the early 1890s. He was a carpenter and he and his brother moved here to work on the World's Fair. And he decided to set down roots. He bought the little piece of land right behind me in 1891 on October 31st, Halloween. And in 1892, fall of that year, he applied for a building permit. And by 1893, early in the year, they already moved in. Quite an interesting story. Walt's mother, Flora, drew up the architectural plans for the house, and Elias built it. The picket fence that you see here is not the original picket fence that was here when Walt lived in the house. This fence, as well as the front porch, was all part of the restoration effort that began in 2013. When the family moved in, they had two children already, Herbert Arthur Disney and Raymond Arnold Disney. Herbert worked for the post office in Los Angeles. He died at age 72 in 1961. Raymond was a very successful insurance agent. In fact, he insured the first Disney studios that his brothers founded. And he lived to the ripe old age of 98 and didn't die until the 1990s. So Walt is said to have been born on the second floor of this house, probably in one of those two windows, because this part of the house, as you can see, has been added and was not part of the original plan or the original building that Elias constructed. And what's significant about December 5th? That's Walter's birthday, December 5th, 1901. Walt Disney spent the first 4 or 5 years of his life in this building behind me. They were some formative years. Now, I don't know about you, but I remember things that happened to me when I was 3 and 4 and 5 years old. I remember going to kindergarten. I remember before going to school, seeing all the big kids go off. So I'm sure Walt remembered things that happened in this house. You can see all the ribbons and the Christmas decoration left over from last week's celebration. They even got a Disney family member to attend the celebration on December 5th, Roy P. Disney, who would have been Walt's grandnephew, and Roy's grandson attended the celebration. So what about the color? Is that accurate? Is it original? Well, when they do this type of restoration, they try to find out as much as they can about the original construction. Now, 120 years, 130 years nearly has passed, but as they take out floorboards, they take off siding, they come across some painted wood. They come across the original construction, and that's what they base the color of this house on. And according to my research, they think that this is pretty close to the color of the house when the Disneys lived here. They tried to establish this as a landmark in 1991, but the owners fought it. In fact, they fought it in court, and they won. But the current owners are doing just that. They want to restore this to its original look and make it a landmark. Now, I have not been able to find any information on whether or not this has been established a landmark yet, but I know it's getting close, and the owners are working really hard to restore this to its original look and establish this as a historic landmark in the city of Chicago. And if you would like to contribute and be part of the restoration, you can go to the WaltDisneyBirthplace.org and see what you can do to help. One of the things you can see here is some people were able to buy bricks in order to support the restoration. Now, I don't know if there was a brick path leading up to that doorway or not, but there is one interesting fact. There's a picture of Walt and his younger sister Ruth standing in front of that door, and they're standing in front of a screen door, and the restorers tried to painstakingly replicate that door as best they can. So let's take a look at it. And this is the door in which you can see Walt and his younger sister Ruth standing in front of. And you can see they did a really nice job of replicating all of that intricate woodwork. So why did the family ever move to Missouri? Well, according to Roy, who spent the first 13 years of his life here, Chicago was just becoming too tough of a neighborhood. And in fact, they said one family very similar to theirs had children. One of them got involved with a car barn robbery. Now, I'm not sure what a car barn was, but if this is around the turn of the century, I'm sure that car garages were not real popular yet. And so a car barn is probably where they kept their vehicles. And this resulted in a shootout in which a police officer was killed. And that was kind of a turning point for Elias and his family. And they decided that they should move to a safer place. And so they headed towards Missouri. In 1917, the Disneys would return to Chicago. And 16-year-old Walt Disney attended high school in this building behind me, which at the time was McKinley High School. So it was in the halls within this building that Walt Disney walked as a teenager. And Walt Disney, no doubt, walked up these stairs and entered this exact doorway in order to go to high school. I think it's ironic that the Disneys left Chicago because of the violence. And within a couple years after their return in 1919, the Volstead Act was ratified. That's prohibition, opening the doors to people like Al Capone to make the city more violent than it has ever imagined. It's interesting to note that the only official art training that Walt Disney ever had was here in Chicago, at the Chicago Academy of Fine Arts. And looking out from Walt's High School, you can see one of the tallest buildings in the country, and even one of the tallest in the world. I hope you enjoyed our visit. Please leave your comments down below. I encourage you to like and share the video, and please subscribe if you haven't already. From the boyhood home of Walt Disney in Chicago, Illinois, I'm Mark with the Average Me Channel.